Good afternoon, greater Philadelphia area. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Tymon. We both work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we have got some interesting topics to talk about today. There's a data center for Amazon coming to Falls Township in Bucks County. We've also got the Crozer Health Assets hitting the auction block this week, and there's a lot of things to think about when it comes to healthcare, especially in Delaware County. We've got some incredible new listings coming to the market this week. But first, we're going to be talking about home sellers and if they're already calling it quits, even though today is June 10th. So if you get some value out of this or you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and if you want to schedule a call with our team and talk about how it may not make sense to be calling it quits right now if you're thinking about selling and you want to talk to Sarah, listing agent extraordinaire, you can do that with the link in the comments. So I gave you the wrong link, by the way. That's our training schedule, so I need to fix this here. But so there was some Housing Wire information. I'll send this to you right now, Sarah. And Housing Wire does a really great job of tracking what's happening nationally. So I'm always a big believer in let's look locally here. And they noticed that for the first time, really all year, that we saw new listings slumping. So I just fixed the link for you. So one of the most encouraging data points of 2025 is the new listings emerged from a 2-year slump, exceeding about 80,000 per week nationally during the seasonal peak period. Well, this week we saw that number kind of drop down a little bit. For the second week in a row in June, we saw only 70,000 plus, which is still a lot of listings compared to where we were. But traditionally, seasonal peaks range from the 80,000 to 110,000 range per week from 2013 to 2019. So before we get into the data and everything else, are you seeing less listings come to the market? Are you feeling like people are starting to quit on the market already, even though we're not even halfway through the year? What are your observations being on the ground, Sarah?
Honestly, I don't think so. I've been meeting with a good number of sellers, and for as far as like my buyers go, there's still properties that are popping up that they want to go take a look at. So if there has been, a little bit of a slump, there's still enough going on that it's not like everything's like come to a halt.
So that's a good observation. That's why you got to be careful with these national reports, because I mean, there's some places where first of all, our school season's a little different than some other places. Like you go to some states like Florida, Kentucky, those sort of places, their school, the kids go back to school like August 1st, but they're out of school in like May. So it's a little different right there. And I think that definitely has something to do with it. And my kids are still in school until next week. So that's very real. When we're seeing new listings locally in the greater Philadelphia area, just week over week, we saw 1,948 new listings come to the market. That's up 4.1% compared to the same week last year, just with the new homes getting listed, and up almost 8% compared to a week ago. So I don't totally agree. However, there is a mindset out there that people are starting to talk about next year. Have you picked up on anything like that? Like, I mean, some of these seller conversations you're having or some of these buyer conversations you're having, they have a much more longer view than what a lot of agents may be used to.
Yeah, but do you know what? In some of the instances where that's happening, it's good because it's people planning in advance and not being down to the wire. So it's like working on the timeline that already, it's not necessarily people that have moved their timeline from like, I'm ready to do something now to never mind, let's push it 6 months down the road or whatnot. I've had more, it kind of be the case where that was the timeline, but now they're ready to like talk and kind of get ahead of things.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a smart seller. And obviously they're getting good advice from agents, because a lot of agents, they don't want to meet with people unless they're like ready to list right away, which is a mistake in your business. Planning ahead is something that's going to help a lot of sellers, because we know the stress points come from getting the house ready. What do I get rid of? What do I got to do in terms of improvements to get it on the market? And really, every business should run like this. If you're running a real estate business, the people you're meeting with should be in that like 6 month to a year out window, because then you're just stacking your pipeline to be able to take advantage. So I would caution looking at these headlines for home buyers because we're seeing more listings come to the market locally here. Now, if you get into August, you might see a little bit of a decline, but historically, we'll still see a pop in activity in September, October, and November. So a little misleading headline here. I think there's always going to be less than when you get into June, July, and August, but it's not like it's dramatically less. I mean, the first couple weeks in June with the peak weeks this year in 2024 for new listings coming to the market were like 80,338, 85,000 and change. So I don't know that it's that much different, even though it's a little lower.
Sure.
So here's a question for you. So we've got this week over week data. We're seeing that there are more listings coming to the market. What do you say to a buyer who's getting frustrated this time of year?
So, I mean, I think it would depend on what their frustration is.
Okay.
That's gonna.
Let's say the frustrations with inventory. Just, I should have clarified that.
Yeah. So if the frustrations with inventory, seeing if there's a way to create more, whether that's by expanding the area, opening up maybe what they would be willing if they were kind of looking for something more turnkey. Like, well, maybe let's look at something that you can get for a little less than the turnkey, but you're putting the work into. Or if it is very like neighborhood specific, sending out mailers, knocking on doors, seeing if there's a way to kind of open that up. Now, when you do those things, like knock on doors and send out letters, typically it's pretty rare to get somebody who is like, I am ready right now. I was literally about to do this. Great timing, That's
happened to you a couple times though.
Right. But it's in most
more
cases,
than it's happened to most people like ever.
Right. But I think like in many cases, you're going to get somebody that like, you're starting a conversation and that's going to happen down the road. But it shows that you're trying.
Okay.
So it kind of builds like a level of like trust there. And then, looking at those properties that days on market have gone up, not being afraid to write an offer. And if it's, that they've lost out on things before, kind of pinpointing what we could do differently and, just trying to go in as strong as you can for the next one.
Well, I mean, sometimes you got to learn from when things didn't go your way, like have that meeting with yourself, and the agent should be doing that, but a consumer should be doing that too. What could we do differently this time around? And maybe there's nothing, but if you're not asking yourself that question, that's going to be pretty important. There is a mindset that once you get into the summer, people start talking about next year. That's normal. I don't know that this article is totally accurate, because when people really start thinking about a move, there's data out there that most sellers, like they're the closest is like 90 days, but usually, like you said, very rarely is someone like, I'm going to sell and I'm going to move and it goes that quickly. Typically it's like 5 to 7 months is what we've seen, and that's just when you start getting started. And so if you're getting frustrated, I also think you got to be careful that you're going to pull yourself out of the market entirely if you're a home buyer, because this is where you see opportunities come to the market. A lot of people are going to be going down the shore, going on vacation. They're going to be taking their mindset out of, people, I talked to someone the other day, they wanted to see a home and they're going to Pittsburgh for 3 weeks to go see their daughter because their daughter just had a new baby. Like, this is real life stuff that happens. So those folks are going to be operating at a disadvantage. And when you're looking for a home, you got to treat it like a job almost in some cases. Right. Like, do you have any advice for buyers that, let's talk about the really motivated people, not the ones that like, they're kicking around the idea, but the ones that are like, we need to find a house.
Stay in it. Like if you take yourself out of it, you're out of it. So while it can be frustrating and it's not always fun, the process, I think my best advice would be to like, don't back off of it, because that's not helping yourself. Push through it and like, let's keep looking at properties. Let's keep looking for options. And eventually it will happen, as long as you're still pursuing it.
Well, and not only that, I think that's really good advice, because a lot of people, sometimes they don't have the right agent. Sometimes they don't know what they're looking for when they get started. They have no idea what they really want. There's also the one area where the market has improved the most is competition. So, rates have kind of remained flat. Inventories come up, but I don't think in a meaningful way for a lot of people. The same challenges are there, but there's a little less competition than there has been. And you can get the home you want, and you're getting a lower price than what it's going to be next year because, it's very clear prices are going to continue to rise. So competition's where the market's improved. And with the right agent, it's a lot easier beating one offer than like 5 offers.
Yep.
Right. It's a lot easier negotiating with the seller than having to be in a multiple bidding situation. So that's where having the right agent, but also the right mindset that, hey, I'm going to be out here when maybe some other people aren't. We see this happen all the time on like holiday weekends, like homes go under contract and people miss them because they're like down the shore doing whatever else. So I think that's really important to realize. And when you look at affordability, I want to talk about this article from Realtor.com because the affordability report card they gave state by state painted Pennsylvania pretty favorably. Now, I think we need to be careful about labeling Pennsylvania as like one market.
Sure.
Because it's a lot different in the greater Philadelphia area versus central PA, versus western Pennsylvania versus some of the northern parts. They graded every single state by affordability, and they looked at 2 factors. One was the just affordability criteria, which they talked about 2 correlated metrics. The first is the Realtor's affordability score, which can be explored at a metro level, which we'll go into. We'll jump into that in a second. And then it's basically the score is the state level for all of 2024, identifying the percentage of for sale inventory in each state is affordable to households at varying points along income distribution. So they factor in average state income. That's how they came up with it. Pennsylvania was painted very favorably in that regard. If you're looking at like this heat map they have here, we're on like red is like unaffordable. And with the number one state it looked like it was is that Montana that I'm seeing up there?
Yeah.
I need a geographer. Maybe it's all the people that watch Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Hawaii is also right up there. I can't tell. I'm just looking at the colors. And then California is right there. And then New York and Massachusetts, which is not really a surprise. And then you see some other states. Pennsylvania is not as favorable as like Ohio and some Midwestern places. So that's one. And then they have the home building criteria, which Pennsylvania did horribly in. It was one of the redder states on here, with states like Alaska, Illinois. It could have been possibly the worst one. But they put both together and they gave us a final score of a C, which is like a push, basically. And when they looked at the raw state data, when it comes to this, Pennsylvania ranked 33 out of the 50 states. Their grade was based on, they looked at the median listing price of Pennsylvania, which is $306,740. Median household income is $74,466. But then the new construction premium, this is why they did so poorly, 89.9%.
Wow.
The only one state that was higher looks like it was Kansas at 105.9%. Does that surprise you at all when it comes to new construction?
So they're saying
we have the worst new construction premium.
Like what they're adding on to the cost of the build.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with like zoning policies and costs involved with that.
And not just like upgrade choices and things of that nature.
Yeah, the premium I guess it's like a new car premium, right? Like you can get the same car if it's used versus new. So that's how they came up with this.
That number is a little bit surprising to me. Because there certainly is a premium for new construction in most cases. Every once in a while, you can get like a deal on new construction if the builder is like wrapping up a project or needs to, like, if something needs to like come off of their plate, you can sometimes like get incentives or get deals there. But compared to the price of, renovated, well-maintained homes that are not new construction, but are very turnkey, that number seems surprising, I guess.
Well, and there's things like zoning policy that can get in the way, which I know is a major issue. You go out to Chester County, there's all this open space. Everyone wants to move there, but you can't build on any of it because they got all these conservatorships and different things that are there. And the townships in Chester County are pretty rough. So they have a national zoning atlas that was designed, and it's a project that was dedicated to digitizing and demystifying information hidden within the 30,000 U.S. zoning codes. And I mean, Massachusetts was one of the worst. Pennsylvania looks like it's right up there. So I think that's really telling that, it shows you why new construction is pricey. I mean, you look at the average new construction price. I mean, the average sale price is what, like 450,000 in our marketplace, roughly. The average new construction offering right now is typically between 800 and $1.2 million. So I mean, you look at it. I mean, you're literally almost double. So I think that, if you're looking at where the opportunities are, unless you're willing to go very far to like a more rural location, I don't see new construction as a viable alternative for you if you're trying to find opportunities in the market.
Right. I would agree with that.
But like in Philadelphia, you might have, because they have a lot of tax incentives.
Yeah.
Like the edges of like Chester County, like Downingtown, you get out to Lancaster, obviously. I think there's a lot more building going on. I think that's where you can actually do pretty well. It's really going to be, you got to know the local market to understand all this. So the last piece of real estate news here, we got the jobs report that happened, right? So the jobs report comes out, and the May employment report was not as hot, I would say, as the previous one. So there was ongoing payroll job growth with a net of 139,000 jobs added by employers in the month, down modestly from the 149,000 over the prior 12 months. That's the average. Unemployment held steady at 4.2%. So the jobs market continues to remain strong. Unemployment's growing a little bit. Mortgage rates came down a little bit today and yesterday in light of this report. And what I'm clear, this really just demonstrates that this is the market we're going to be in for the foreseeable future. So if you're trying to navigate it, like there's not going to be some event that brings rates down or that changes the market dramatically. I mean, supply's kind of in this like 2+ month level in the suburbs, a little higher in Philadelphia. I mean, are you seeing anything different here that people should be aware of as they head into the summer months?
No. I mean, I think if you're like waiting for something to happen, like every indication is like, this is the course.
Mm-hmm. So what advice do you have for sellers and buyers this summer? So we unpacked like all the things people think are happening, and then we talked about what's really happening. Which one do you want to take? And we'll break it down both before we take a break here.
I mean, I would say for buyers, like the cost of waiting is a real thing. So if, you're holding out for some other rate, what is that rate that you're holding out for? What happens if it doesn't get there? What happens if when it gets there, the amount of time that you've waited has caused the price of the home to go up, more than what you're saving in the rate? So, trying to figure out what exactly it is that you're kind of holding out for. For sellers, I think we have conversations a lot about the right time to sell is really when it's right for you. And there are advantages to, depending on like your home. We see inventory typically increasing until 4th of July weekend, and then it tends to like slow down a little bit. Sometimes it's good being the house that comes up when it's not amongst every other house. So that doesn't mean it's a bad time to list. Just kind of being aware of what you're up against.
I think that's great advice. And what I would also share with people is like, you got to be out there. Like if you're not, you got to be out there looking no matter what. I mean, it's not, you can't just like decide, all right, I'm looking up until June 30th and I'm done for the year. That's right. A bad decision because you're going to be in the home a long time. For sellers, it's probably going to take a little longer than it did to sell in the spring. Not necessarily much longer. It may be a little slower. And there will be a pop of pending sales in the fall. There's that chart. We looked at it on Thursday at our team meeting where it shows what happens. So typically you see kind of pending sales tail off and they jump back up right after Labor Day. And you've got a 75 to 90 day run to really finish out the year before everyone starts guzzling eggnog and putting on ugly sweaters for 30 days straight. So there's opportunity in the market. Just understand what the opportunity is and get real with the data, because there's so many sellers, they think their home's going to sell the first weekend and they kind of get like a little like upset and they're not happy, which I don't blame them. Like it's stressful. That's because their agent didn't preface them for how long it actually takes for homes to sell.
Right.
So make sure your agent's communicating with you using data. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. talk about this local news here about the Amazon data center. This is very exciting for people that live in Bucks County, and the Crozer Health Assets being sold next on Tool Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. All right. Welcome back to Tool Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Tymon. We both work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we have got some, I would say, positive news and some not so positive news. The Amazon is planning a data center in Falls Township in Bucks County, which is very exciting for the people over there. And we're also seeing the Crozer Health Assets hitting the auction block this week. And this isn't something a lot of people are talking about. It was on the news a little bit when the hospital closed down and the system closed down, but there's going to be some stuff to unwind here. And lastly, we'll be talking about all the new listings we have coming to the market. We've got some incredible properties we'll hit on in the final segment. So if you get some value out of this or you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. And if you want to schedule a call with our team and Sarah specifically about how some of these development opportunities and these building sales might impact your real estate needs, you can do that with the link in the comments. So Amazon is coming to Bucks County. So they're building a $20 billion, or it's actually, excuse me, there's a $20 billion Pennsylvania investment from Amazon, and Bucks County, the Bucks County data center is going to be part of it. And this is really from the Amazon announced that it's going to build the data at the Keystone Trade Center as part of their $20 billion investment across Pennsylvania to support artificial intelligence and cloud computing technologies. So what do you think about this, Sarah? Good news, bad news, exciting news? What's your observation?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it will, I mean, obviously that's a lot of potential jobs. And, you know, with that would come a lot of activity. I guess it doesn't say time frame, does it?
I don't think that's quite there yet. I mean, the announcement just came out. So, I mean, it's going to be quite a large data center. It's a 247-acre center with 10 buildings ranging in size from 112,000 to 217,000 square feet. And I mean, that's a large site. So I think that the plans have just been announced. I mean, I don't think anyone knows when it's going to be done.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. Just looking to see. So never mind. I thought it was saying something about Kansas City, but it's just saying I think it was where it's based.
Yeah, they based it out of there. So this is the largest private investment in state history, according to Josh Shapiro, which is pretty wild. So you know they're going to create 1,250 new high-skilled jobs, and there's going to be thousands more in like the data supply chain when you think about like how Amazon works, right? I mean, the delivery drivers, all the people that are working on the orders. They didn't disclose the scope of each individual project, and they're also considering more sites for data centers in Pennsylvania. So, I mean, that could certainly be exciting. I mean, I think this is going to be a real shot in the arm for Bucks County. I mean, it's great to see that kind of stuff is happening here. So, if you don't know where Falls Township is, it's like right on the edge of like Levittown. It's north of Bensalem. It's kind of right across the river from Trenton. I think Sesame Place is there. Ever been to Sesame Place?
I have not.
Neither have I, but I heard it's there. I think there's going to be some more effects here. I mean, I would imagine you're going to see housing demand really pick up.
Right.
Especially if they're high-paying, high-tech jobs. Now, it may not be in that township, but it could be in some of the surrounding areas there.
Yeah.
I would imagine both on the rental and the sales side, because like, what if you don't like where you move to and you're getting the job, right? I think that happens a lot with corporate relocation. Mm-hmm. If you look at Loudoun County, Virginia, they saw similar trends where there was a big boost in demand for single-family homes, apartments, and townhomes because the data centers contribute to the population growth and they increased home values. So I think that's exciting news for homeowners that live there, but also the people that are going to be moving in. I mean, they're going to be getting high-paying, high-salary jobs. So it's going to bring a lot of good stuff to the area for sure. I would imagine property values go up. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah. I I mean, that's a lot of jobs and a lot of people coming into the area there. So certainly, I think property values would go up. Kind of bad news given we got the dark red on that new construction map. So I guess trying to just like sort that out, it'll probably, you'll see like a not like a fan effect, but like from where they do it, like I'm sure it'll expand out. A decent distance. People are willing to have different lengths of commutes. So I think we'll kind of see that come into play. And like obviously, like I don't know anybody who doesn't use Amazon, so it feels like a safe choice.
Well, I think that's a good point. I mean, that's like people get really freaked out like if the trucks can't like come to their house. So I think that's a really good observation. I mean, I would hope what you see happen too is like more demand for commercial property, such as like some retail, some restaurants, to serve the growing population. I mean, Falls Township Keystone Trade Center, it's a former U.S. steel mill site. So we've seen this happen, like the Navy Yard's another great example. Like they've repurposed it a lot, and they do have some industrial use there. So I think having some, more, it could support even more local businesses than we realize, which is really exciting. And I would imagine you might see like some developers start to like pick up on like some of the vacant land, or if there is any. Although we did get that red score, like you're talking about.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, when you've got that much, growth and something that big coming in, right? There's all types of other pieces there that all of a sudden are going to be kind of needed to support it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then it brings a lot more to the area. I mean, you look at what Comcast did for Philadelphia. That was a long time ago, but that really revitalized the city. And you could see more affordability challenges there, right? All of a sudden, I mean, like think about Phoenixville, right? Like that market became very unaffordable very quickly because everyone was moving there because they couldn't afford some of the other places. So that I could see that happening here in some of the surrounding areas as well. Now, Amazon does have these initiatives like the Housing Equity Fund to support affordable housing in some regions, but they didn't make any commitments to Pennsylvania. So, I mean, that could put a strain on some people for sure. And if you look at like the Hudson Valley, where there's some Amazon facilities, that really drove up rents and home prices and made it harder to find affordable housing for some of the people that were local there.
Sure.
Do you think there's any concerns about something like this coming to the market, Sarah?
I mean, I think that if you're doing something this size and at this like level, like this is going to take years to really come into play, would be my thought. I don't know how quickly these types of things come together.
Maybe it's going to take a long time.
Yeah, maybe it's faster than what I'm thinking, but I think it's something to like be aware of for the future, but how that would impact you right now today. Maybe on some level, like a peace of mind if you're in that area, knowing that like you got in before all of this happened. But otherwise, I don't think it would have like that's not going to be factored into pricing today.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. And what we kind of see happen when this stuff, I mean, I look at, you got to be careful, like if you're an investor, you're trying to like get in on the area. Because a lot of people, when the Sixers were going to build the downtown arena, they're like, oh, I'm buying all this stuff down here. I got many calls like that. Well, guess what? It didn't happen.
Oops.
Yeah, oops is right. That's a great, couldn't have said it better myself, Sarah. That's fantastic. So I think you're going to, long term, I think this is going to be really good for the area. It could position, Falls Township and the surrounding communities as like a tech hub and maybe attract some like ancillary businesses and further investment. This all happened in Northern Virginia. So I think it's already documented. So this is a very exciting thing. I think overall, seeing a company come like this, that's only going to get bigger. I mean, Amazon's not going the other way. So that's a real positive for the area. Now we got kind of the flip side happening in Delaware County. So not so good news for, have you been following this Crozer Health story?
Actually, no.
So Crozer Health, I mean, they basically had to shut down the hospitals, Taylor Hospital and the Crozer Health System. They went bankrupt, and their parent company, Prospect Medical, they filed for bankruptcy in January with more than $2 billion in debt. In April, they closed the Crozer Chester Medical Center and Taylor Hospital, the only two hospitals still open and providing inpatient care because they couldn't find a buyer. Springfield Hospital closed its emergency department in 2022, And now these assets are being sold off. So like MRI machines, kitchen equipment, they're all going to be auctioned off. There's a company called Centurion Service Group. It's a medical equipment life cycle company. They're going to conduct these online auctions. So obviously the concern is that there's not a whole lot of hospital coverage for people in Delaware County. I mean, you really got, you got Riddle, right? I mean, that's in media. Besides that, I mean, it's going to put a lot of strain on mainline health systems in Lankenau. That's one of the closest hospitals for people in Delaware County. Paoli's another one that's going to get stressed out. So
these other ones, they closed down. It wasn't like some other hospital took it over.
No, they couldn't find a buyer, and a lot of times when they do find these buyers, they just pick up the assets that they want in healthcare. So it was ChristianaCare submitted a winning bid for 5 outpatient care centers previously operated, but that's a little different. It's like an ambulatory care center and some other stuff. And they've seen like these urgent care centers start to pop up in Delaware County to try and serve them. But I mean, like, you got a serious trauma or something, like this is not good. So
then are the other surrounding hospitals like hiring more? I mean, but you only have so much space to put people, but like, are they like, if they're having to pick up the overflow, if you will, from the places that shut down, are the nurses, are the doctors from these closed hospitals going to the other ones? And
see, that I don't know. It was about 2,651 job losses that have been laid off when this happened. And that's, just to give some perspective, that's comparable to Bethlehem Steel in the 70s and 80s. That's a lot of layoffs. I mean, you think about that. It also hurts the tax revenue for local governments because Chester Upland School District is projected to lose $2.2 million annually, which can hurt like the public schools. So that doesn't, and it's already a school system that I think needs help, right? And then you have reduced healthcare access. So you got there's only 2 hospitals left in Delaware County. There's Mercy Fitzgerald and Riddle Memorial to serve 584,000 people, which is not going to cut it. And it's it's like almost like a healthcare desert, particularly in Chester and in the city of Chester, where that was a critical resource for some of the people that live down there, and they had limited like transportation options. So, and that was the county. Crozer Chester was the county's only trauma and burn center, and its closure is eliminating local access to those services. So now, and then that also strains like EMS because they have to,
go further.
Yeah, they got to go further. So this is definitely some very bad news here, and I think it could, I mean, you think about some of the reasons why people move. Everyone ever say like, I need to stay around here for my doctors or my healthcare? Like that's going to be a real issue.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, what other negative? I mean, how do you think this is going to impact this?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you've got like health issues, like, and you need to be, I mean, that's so unfortunate if like your doctor that you've had that, and if you're going through different health things, like you build a relationship with these doctors, they know your history, they know like having to like start all over again or go further. I mean, that could be, you want to talk about motivation, that could be certainly reason enough to move.
For sure.
Because that can be life or death. And then, it would overwhelm all of the surrounding hospitals. So it has very much, I feel like there's like I don't know if like trickle down effect is the right word, but like the repercussions of removing that many in a county is going to impact a lot.
Well, and I think it also hurts like the other businesses around there, right? I mean, because they like think about like some of like the restaurants that rely on like the healthcare workers and the hospital employees. They may get closed because of lack of foot traffic, and like local retailers can get affected by this. So, I mean, think like
hotels for like people coming and like stay.
For sure. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can happen. And, I mean, the good news is at least those outpatient facilities, I mean, they may preserve some of the local business activity in places like Broomall and Havertown and Glen Mills and Media. But this is going to be a real negative impact. And unfortunately, I think it can. I mean, they have some initiatives. So like there's Delaware County has a health resources locator map and a 24/7 wellness line. The number is 484-276-2100 to find residents, to help residents find alternative care options And they're also working to secure the helipad at Crozer for continued medical support and have a transition center in Chester to connect former, Crozer staff to new jobs. So there's a lot of things people don't really think about when these hospitals close, and there's just going to be a lot of stress on these surrounding hospitals here.
Right, and then what? There's going to be like vacant buildings.
See, I mean, Hahnemann's been vacant for how long? That's another hospital that, I mean, that's the same thing happens. You can't really like repurpose these buildings. Like the amount of infrastructure investment that would need to be made, it's not like an easy thing. They're not going to make them into condos, right? No. I don't think people would want to live there if they did.
Right.
There's a place I don't know if it's right by the Philadelphia, where the Roundhouse downtown. It's called like I think the Metro Club or something. It used to be like a psych hospital, and they turned it into condos. And I think some people got a little freaked out down there.
Right, right.
It's like right by when you get on the bridge. Like it's on the Ben Franklin and on Vine Street. So
yeah,
this is stuff I think there could be a major negative impact from these getting closed in Delaware County. I mean, you see the exciting stuff with Amazon, but we got the flip side here happening in Delaware County. So
yeah, for sure.
Stuff to think about here. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, talk about all the new listings we got coming to the market this week. Very exciting stuff next on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Tymon. We have got 8 incredible listings hitting the market. All showings start on Friday. And if you want to get into any of these, use the link in the comments. Sarah can get you in. Happy to help you out. If you get some value out of this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's break down these listings, Sarah. So the first one, Paul Haratunian's bringing this to the market. This is an incredible listing. It's 975 South Waterloo Road with an asking price of $1.7 million in Devon. This is a 5-bed, 4.5-bath, 5,200 square foot home built in 2015. Incredible property on 1.4 acres. I mean, this looks like a great place to live.
Total of 13 parking spaces.
Well, you know what? I mean, you need off-street parking in some of these homes. I mean, especially if you're not able to park off the street there. And Waterloo, I mean, it does get a little bit of traffic, but you're in Tredeffert Easttown schools. No photos yet. From what Paul has told me, this place is immaculate. I mean, I'm talking about they got a 3-car garage. You've got on-site finished hardwood floors. I mean, it's just like one thing after another with this home. I mean, 5,200 square feet is a lot of space here.
Yeah.
So you live not too far from here. I mean, this is over in Easttown Township. I mean, this is a pretty quiet area as well. What do you like about living in Tredeffert and Easttown?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think like
we won't give your address. Don't worry.
Just like quick access to a lot of the things that like I need to get to. Friendly people. I've been out there for I guess like 3 years now, and very, very positive.
Well, I think that's kind of the vibe along the main line in general. And it's, I mean, there's school systems there that are really attractive. So a lot of great stuff. So this is expected to be on the market on Friday. And let me see if we have any open houses here. Let me double check on this. But I mean, this looks like a can't miss property. 1.7 million over in Devon. And no open house scheduled yet. So you'll have to look at this by appointment only. And again, you can book an appointment right with the link. Very easy to do. The next property we've got coming to the market is on 2 Fairhill Road in Wallingford. This is a 4-bed, 2.5 baths in Wallingford Swarthmore Schools. It's 2,200 square feet. So this is like, I mean, this is, right outside Swarthmore, right by 476. It's looks to be in incredible shape. It's a brick front property. And, these homes in Wallingford, like you can see there's an addition they put on here, and Sarah, above the garage. That makes a big difference in terms of the space. You got 2.5 baths. I mean, some of these homes they're like 3-bed, 1.5 baths. So this has got 2-car garage. The basement's fully finished. Looks like it's in great space. And you got big fence yard, big back deck. Another place where they got excellent schools. And this will be on the market on Friday, $650.
Amazing. Let's see. Do you want me to
go for it.
One of the other ones here? So we've also got in Downingtown, one coming to the market here, 48 Carlson Way. This one is being offered at $460,000. It's a 4-bed, 2.5 bath. home here we are having an open house for this one Saturday from 1 to 3. And lot 0.28 acres. Looks like you've got a 2-car garage here. Nice tree-lined street. So that one is coming to the market at $460,000.
Yeah, this is right by like the 30 and 322 kind of bypass there. So you got a really convenient location, but you're not in the middle of it. Very quiet. It's kind of like a dead end neighborhood. So the only people that are really driving back there are the folks that live there. Really nice property, and looks to be in good shape. And someone could really take advantage of that. So the next one we got here, Sarah, it's on Stoneham Drive in Westchester. So this is over in the Willistown Woods community. So don't let the Westchester address fool you. It's in Great Valley Schools. Big difference there. They're both great school districts. Just depends where you want to be. This is a 3-bed, 2.5 bath, 1,728 square feet. It's got a 1-car attached garage. This is a really nice looking home. And in terms of condition, I mean, you got hardwood floors throughout on the inside. There's a kind of a front and back fireplace. Kitchen's been upgraded with new countertops and cabinets. Got a private deck in the back, and this is right off Route 3. So, I mean, super convenient location. Get you really where you need to go.
And your HOA is only $208 a month, which is big.
Well, I mean, some of the HOAs are like $500-600 a month. So that's a pretty big difference. You want to talk about your listing on Callow Hill Street?
Sure. So we've got a listing coming to the market on Callow Hill. This one's 6056 Callow Hill. We are offering this one at $200,000. And the seller has done a lot of work to it. So it's very, very turnkey once you're in there. Updated kitchen. I'm going to say like refreshed hardwood floors. It still has like the original, but she's refinished them. We've got all new appliances, new roof, new siding. Really took care of all of the major stuff there. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath, just over 1,000 square feet. And yeah, we've got an open house coming up here on Saturday from 12 to 2.
Another great opportunity. I mean, what a price point you can get into a home there. And that's not usually the case with a lot of these homes that we're taking to the market. We've also got this property on Partridge Way. So this is a 3,182 square foot home in Landenberg. So that's down in Franklin Township in Avon Grove Schools. This is 3,182 square feet. This property's got a lot of land that comes with it, very private, and you're in a community of similar homes, but there's a lot of elbow room. It's got a walkout basement. The asking price on this is going to be $725,000. It's got 2.7 acres. I mean, that's a lot of space. So this will be live and available this Friday, and we got open houses all weekend from 1 to 3, Saturday and Sunday on the 14th and 15th. And I mean, it's finished walkout basement, nice updates, and it's got a great lot. I mean, the lot to me is like the most exciting thing. I mean, you don't really you're not going to have to see like your neighbors at all.
Right. But like what's nice here, like you're secluded, but also like you do have neighbors. Like they're spread out. You've definitely got your space, but you're not like isolated out like completely away from anybody.
Which can be the case out in Landenberg. So that's a great observation there. What else do we got here? We got a few more. We got this property on 1912 Hoffman Street. So this is a rehab. It's in South Philly. It's a little north of Passyunk Ave, south of Point Breeze. It's a 3-bedroom row home, 1.5 baths, 938 square feet, totally renovated throughout. So I mean, it's got an ask of $300,000. So you used to live over in, was Queen Village or Bella Vista?
Bella Vista. Well, like Queen Village and then Bella Vista.
It's like right on the edge, right? So I mean, this is like one of those like up and coming neighborhoods because you're so close to like Girard Estates and parts of South Philly there, and pretty close to Broad Street as well.
Yep.
So we got one more here, Sarah.
We've got one in Delaware, 71 Nita Drive, a 4-bed, 4-bath detached home for $539,999. This was built in 2003. You've got a little over 1/4 of an acre. let me see how many garage spaces we've got here. It looks like a 2-car garage.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's part of an HOA, and your HOA is only $175 a month, which is great. As we just mentioned, you can easily go way north of that for HOAs.
These are some nice listings. So someone sees one of these, obviously they can get in touch with us. We can schedule a tour. But let's say you're a buyer and you see a new listing and it's like coming soon or not yet on the market. What advice do you have for that person?
This is a great time to, if you see that it's coming soon, there's not an open house. Getting in that first weekend can be pretty important. Mm-hmm. So if you're actively out there searching, you do to some degree have to prioritize this. I'm not saying like, don't go to your kid's graduation or, like don't be ridiculous, but, you do want to try and make the time to get out there. And for some of these hot listings, they absolutely can still go in a weekend. So, try to get out there right away. Try and get some questions answered before you go out. Ask for the disclosure. Ask for some of the basic info that an agent would be able to get for you, so you kind of know going in what you're working with.
I'd also drive by the home and see if you like the neighborhood, because that can save you a lot of time too. You got some time here with these. If the neighbor's got like a car parked on their yard, you might not be interested. Yep. Or there's like power lines in the back. Or you might say this neighborhood's incredible and I really want to be here. So I would do that due diligence as well. So get some questions answered, make some time, and drive by. Great advice, Sarah. That's all we got this week. You want to follow Sarah on Instagram, you can follow her at Ty_Ty Time. You can follow me at Tom Toole 3RD. And we'll be back next week, Tuesday at 3 o'clock on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.